Alrighty. I think I finally did it. I rebooted the webcam. I got my microphone, the computer's internal microphone, that is. Oh, good to see you still back, T. Thank you so much for sticking it out. Man, you'd be surprised how many people will just be like, nope, if a stream doesn't work. So here's hoping, or I shouldn't say hoping, here's thanking my loyal fan base for not just completely jumping the gun. So Tiki, I have news for you. So the first bit of news is that I was doing a little bit of research on Genshin Impact. And from what I've heard, thank you, Zoe. From what I've heard, there actually are plans to put Genshin Impact on the Switch. It's just that the company doesn't have a concrete announcement yet. So I'm going to guess that means it's coming 2022 to 2023, because they definitely said that's something that they want to do. So before long, I may be playing it. And the other bit of news is I always lose track of how many people I've told this to, but I pre-ordered Danganronpa Decadence, so I'm going to get it probably within 2 to 3 days of its release. So before long, I will be able to reference my own Danganronpa preferences. Good that you could join us, Zoe. What have you been up to lately? You know, I didn't think I would like... Oh. Well, I don't know about the gotcha part, but I'll definitely... One moment, guys. Let me see if this is important. Oh, this is my best friend. One moment. What's he saying? All right, guys, I got to take a quick break because apparently my best friend needs to talk to my mom about something. So let me get going, and then I'll be right back. If you guys want to start a conversation in the comments, go for it, but I will be right back. All right. I have returned. All right, if you guys could let me know if I'm, whatchamacallit, let me know if I'm glitching out still. Let me just send this text to my best friend, letting him know that I passed on the message, and then I'll be ready. I could probably talk and text at the same time, but I'm still not used to texting in general. I have one of these phones, so you guys can imagine how long it takes to do anything. Okay. The reason I don't have a smartphone is, I mean, there's several reasons. The first and foremost, why is my webcam so shaky right now? Okay, the first and foremost reason, Yeah. Oh man, Tiki, we should restart that thread on Twitter. It's just that you've changed your name so much that I don't even know how to find you on Twitter anymore. So maybe just like tag me in something so we can restart that. The main reason I'm not getting a smartphone is because I am kind of a stickler for keeping things the way that they always were. So as a result, I'm kind of just like, my first phone was a flip phone, and this is a flip phone, and this is similar enough to my old phone. And not only that, but these things have incredible battery life. Like if I don't talk to people on the phone, this thing can go probably about a week and a half without being charged. It could probably go longer, but sometimes I don't want to take my chances. And if I am on the phone, then sometimes it can go about half a week without being charged. Whereas from what I've heard about regular phones, they eat up a lot of batteries, mainly because this thing doesn't really have any apps. It's basically just like, well, let me just check how many apps I have. All it has is My Verizon and Cloud as apps, and I don't even know how to work those. As far as tools and settings, it's got a couple of things like voice recorder, a calendar, an alarm, timer, stopwatch, calculator, notepad. Not a whole lot of big stuff. I could, but then again, I think also I just don't really need a smartphone because I have my laptop. So I use my phone for, talking to people, for texting them, and then I use my laptop for apps, so to speak. So my computer has Facebook, and my computer has, my email and all that, which works totally fine. I mean, I am a very, very fast typer. I don't even type properly. I do what's called poker typing, but I learned how to type properly. I just didn't like it. So now that I've learned how to type improperly, I can actually type faster than people that do know how to type. So you guys must be ghosts or something, because currently my stream number is showing that no one is here, but yet I can see your comments come in. So YouTube is just being weird right now. It must think that you guys are phantoms, or maybe you're not logged in. I don't know. Something is going on. Yeah, it's easy to get addicted to just about anything, and I definitely can see where I definitely have my moments where when I'm waiting for someone to text, I can be like constantly pressing the button on the side to see if maybe I got a new text, or maybe I just didn't hear the notification bell go off. But I set my phone volume to all the way up so that I don't miss out on texts or calls. Because most people, they just have a little vibrate, or they have like a little like ding, whereas mine is like ding, so that everyone can hear it. Also, here's a fun fact that I bet you guys didn't know. When I talk on the phone, I use my left hand. So I talk like this when I'm talking on the phone, whereas most people talk like this because the average population is right-handed, including me. But for some odd reason, I use my left hand to talk on the phone. That actually has happened before, Tiki, where people will just be like, "What was that sound?" And I'll just say, "That was my phone." I also have my phone so that the ringtone is one of those classic ringing the bells, like what you're probably used to hearing in high school. So that way I really don't miss it. And I'm the type of guy where, and you know this, Zoe, but I hardly ever don't answer my phone. Usually the only times where I will deliberately avoid picking up is if it's turned off when I'm sleeping, or if it's turned off when I'm on church, or when I'm at church. But generally speaking, I'm the type of guy that I don't really believe in holding off on phone calls. So usually I challenge my friends to try to leave a voicemail, because I pretty much always check it. Hey, Jevil, welcome back. Dang, we got the whole reunion going on here. First, we got Zoe, who's been busy. Then we've got Tiki, who's been doing school stuff. That would be funny, Zoe. I do hope you won't, though, because I think I'd like to be able to do do one thing at once, you know. But that would be pretty funny, actually. From what I've been told, I have a really weird voicemail. Yeah. Usually I take my phone to Mass because just in case there's an emergency at church, like I'd want to be able to turn it on really quickly. Like say someone gets hurt at church or someone faints, you know, I'd want to be able to call and get something done. Or when I'm done with church, I want to maybe text or call my friends to say, hey, well, in my case, I use my left hand, so I'll say, hey, I just got finished with church, so go ahead and you can go ahead and start coming over. So that's the main reason, but if I had my way, I wouldn't take my phone I would take my phone hardly anywhere. Oh, you completed it? Now, when you say completed, Devil, do you mean 100%ed, or you just got to the credits? Because for me, when I say complete, I mean you got everything, which I think only one game I can actually say that to, and that's Banjo-Kazooie. Well, I think I also 100%ed Mario Galaxy 2. So the games I've 100%ed: Super Mario Galaxy 2, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario 64. Probably others. I think also Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea, Tiki. Definitely, it's good to have a backup plan for just about everything. That's why one of my mottos is always have a plan and always have a backup plan. Because I always have the assumption that my plans are going to go wrong. So that's why typically I don't have one train of thought when I'm planning something. I usually say, okay, in the occasion that something goes wrong, let me plan something else. So usually like someone says, hey, Paul, let's hang out at 8. I'll wake up like much earlier than I should because I'll be like, okay, what if they come early? That could be an unknown variable. This shirt is so new that I literally just peeled off the sticker. Oh, good. You remember my favorite character. That's nice. Oh, wow. Good luck with Origami King, Jevil, because from what I've heard, that game is miserable for completionists. I watched the completionists episode, and he called it an unexpected completionist's nightmare. So, just curious, guys. You all, I presume, don't have flip phones. So, do you think it's just me being weird that I talk on the phone with my left hand, or do you also talk on the phone with your non-dominant hand? I'd be really curious if that's just a me thing, if it's a genetic thing, because my dad also uses his left hand on the phone, and he's right-handed as well. In fact, the only righty in my whole family is my sister, but I think she talks on the phone with her right hand, so it's just really weird. But she's learned to do a lot of things right-handed because the world is mostly right-handed, and they didn't really accommodate to her very much at her young age. Interesting. Oh, that's funny, Tiki. So are you actually left-handed, or are you ambidextrous? Well, Jevil, you have a lot more patience than I do. I don't see myself being a completionist because I like to enjoy my games, and when they get to the point where it's just tedious, then I sort of draw the line. I mean, you're talking to the guy who continued reviewing Wii U games in 2019. No thanks, I'm done with that. Okay, so you're also right-handed. Believe it or not, this is something you guys will probably think was silly of me. Or you'll say, darn it, that sheltered homeschooler. But I used to think that all girls were left-handed because my sister is left-handed. My classmate in school, yes, you're not ghosts now, Tiki. That's right. Now it says that 3 of you are here. So yeah, I thought all girls were left-handed because my sister is left-handed. The girl in my class was left-handed. I think one of my teachers was a lefty. I first learned how to use scissors with my left hand, believe it or not. And then my grandma was left-handed. So those were most of the girls in my life back then. Of course, me being a dum-dum, I forgot to take into account that my mom is a righty. So there went my theory already, but I guess I just didn't bother asking. Oh, I get it. That's a good strategy, Jevil. I like to do that too, where if I don't like a game, I just delete it, or I archive it if I'm not going to play it for a while. There were a lot of things that I made ultimatums for with regards to the genders, but as I've gotten older, I've realized that you really can't make ultimatums with any group of people, gender or religion or anything like that, because there's a lot of exceptions out there. Like you could say all Catholics are pro-life. I have met some Catholics that identify as pro-choice, so you can't even say that anymore. You just, pretty much the only thing you can say is we're all human beings and we all have free will and intellect. How well we use that free will or intellect is another question. But the fact remains that we're capable of using it, whereas the animals are very strictly instinctual. So one cool bit of news that I think I told you guys is that I finally got a hold of my friend Monica again. Well, I told you I got a hold of her the first time, but then I got hold of her a second time, and I said, hey, this time, because we were on the phone, let's video chat. But I think I worded it a bit too either or with her, because I said, would you like to do a phone call or a video chat? And she said, sure, that sounds good. So then I responded, okay, which one do you want to do and when do you want to do it? So I love how spontaneous she can be at times. Yeah, yeah, I think that too when I hear the word ambidex. Oh man, it's so good that I have some Zero Escape fans in my stream, that's for sure. So Tiki, I was just curious. I've actually never played the mini games in Danganronpa. I've never even played a main Danganronpa game. I've just watched Pegasus. I would be really curious if you could show me the differences between. I would be really interested to see the differences between the mini game in Killing Harmony that's actually there versus the mini game that they're making Danganronpa S into a full game. I hope I said that right. Okay, so that is what you have to say there, Tiki, about LGBT is okay. There's a very fine line about what the priest is saying. What he's saying is that the way that we are born is something that we don't inherently choose for ourselves. There's a lot of both our physical and our emotional traits that are 100% based on DNA and genetics. So for example, the fact that I have brown hair and the fact that my hair is not like, it's not kinky curly, it's not perfectly straight, it's wavy. It's not because I made it that way. I mean, sometimes my hair behaves more when I comb it, but the point is that that's a genetics thing because both of my parents have brown hair, so therefore I have brown hair. That's passed along by the genes. However, there is also what's called choosing what you do with what you've been given. So for example, I could say, well, I've been given brown hair, and that's my natural hair color. This is not dyed. This is not, there's no artificial coloring in my hair. This is my natural color. But what I could do is say, well, I don't like having brown hair, so therefore I want to have red hair. So then I could put hair dye in to say that I'm a redhead. I mean, sometimes with this lighting, I look like a redhead, but I swear I'm not. So what the priest is getting at there is, yes, if you're born LGBT, then you can't really help it. Like, if you happen to experience attraction to same sex, or if you happen to be bisexual, that it's not something you chose to do. In fact, I'm pretty sure a lot of the people, now I'm not on the LGBT spectrum myself, but I'm pretty sure most people that are, they kind of don't like their orientation because they don't like the bullying that they get and they don't like the harassment. So if they could go back in time and alter their genetics so that they can be heterosexual and cisgender, they probably would. But then there's gotten this movement lately where they say that LGBT should become the norm. But then they've forgotten the point that it all started from something called gender dysphoria slash a part of the brain that accounts for only 1% of the population, but nowadays they're louder. So to give a short answer to what that priest is saying, he's saying if you happen to experience attraction to the other gender, God's not going to hold it against you, just like he's not going to hold it against you for having brown hair. But you also have to take into account that we have reason and free will, and if we're doing stuff that's bad, you shouldn't be doing it. So for example, just because you're capable of taking a gun and shooting someone doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. You might be like, but I want to shoot this person. This person killed my family. I have a desire for revenge. That doesn't make it right. Does that make sense? If I'm getting on and on about something you don't want to talk about, just let me know, and you can go ahead and fangirl some more about about Genshin Impact. Totally fine by me. I'm eventually going to play it, so maybe try not to have a whole bunch of spoilers, but I do plan on playing it. I hope I didn't scare away the rest of you. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't ignoring Tiki's comment, because that's something that is really unfortunate about people of my religion, is that they say we're a bunch of homophobes and transphobes and all that. Not a problem, Tiki, not a problem. You can go ahead and flood the chat as much as you want. My audience here, I think they've kind of gotten that impression over time that it's anyone's game. And if they have a problem with you flooding the chat, they can just go ahead and mention it. But they haven't. So I think that means you're cool. But yeah, basically, the gist of what the priest is saying is use your head. Like, if you think you shouldn't be messing around with people that aren't going to help you procreate, then God gave you that reason and intellect to do that. Ableist? What do you mean by ableist, or did you mean to say atheist? Because atheist means that you don't believe in any kind of God whatsoever. But an ableist, I'm not 100% sure what the word ableist means, but basically, from what I've heard, it's a term used among the Asperger's community to refer to how when a person has a certain kind of disorder or function, that they're told that they're not capable of being as good as someone who's neurotypical. So for example, they might say, well, you're autistic, so therefore you can't handle loud noises. And it's like, well, I think they can, they just don't particularly like it. Yeah, I didn't think you meant to say ableist, but I just wanted to double check just in case, I don't know, you're secretly on the spectrum or something like that. So it is funny how many words sound like each other in the English language. So just curious, how many of you guys actually keep up with politics? Because I know I don't talk about politics much on my channel, but I was just curious, like, if that's something you'd want me to touch on, or if that's something that you're like, just stay out of it, Paul. I don't want the drama. I don't want to lessen my view of you or anything like that. I'm just curious. What do you think? Yeah, I bet that's a pretty rough position to be in, especially when you're on a chat where everyone here is a native English speaker. That's good, Zoe. I try to pay attention to politics, but the problem is that a lot of times the news outlets don't explain things in ways that I can understand. Because I'm a very straightforward person. To me, A equals A, 1 + 1 = 2, like that kind of stuff. I'm not really good at looking into the big picture of everything. However, my dad is very much into politics, and to a certain extent, so is my sister. So sometimes I hear things from them, and that does occasionally mean that I get kind of a one-sided view of things. But what I try to do is I try to stay in kind of a neutral stance, where I say, okay, I'm at the point where I only know so much information. And so to argue that one party or another is better than the other when I only hear it from my dad's and my sister's perspective is folly. Generally speaking, the polite thing to do if you're going to take down an argument, is to not only know your own side, but also to know your opponent's so that you know where their logical fallacies are. And if I know neither, then it's pointless to even try. So that's why if people ask, what is your stance on politics? My answer is typically, well, my stance on politics is whatever option respects human dignity the most. And I know that that's a bit of a gray area, and that's a bit of a, that takes a long time to define. But I guess you could say, oh, I mean, I wouldn't say I like it. I was just trying to see what you guys were thinking about in terms of, like, if I were to talk about politics, would you be interested? Yeah, that makes sense, Tiki. I think it's good to keep up with things, even if you don't always like to talk about it. Well, yes, I am aware that politics is a branch of philosophy, but that's also why it's hard to keep up with it. I mean, I'm just talking about common sense and reason at this point. If I wanted to talk about Christianity, I could. I mean, I am the Catholic gaming nerd, not just the gaming nerd. So, I mean, from a Christian standpoint, if you want to look at the core fundamentals of Christianity, then technically you wouldn't be allowed to vote for someone pro-choice. However, if you're speaking from a logical standpoint that's separate from Christianity and religion, then you'd have to ask yourself, okay, if I believe in abortion, then that would also mean that I believe, therefore, that whatever is being removed from the woman's uterus is not a life form. And if it is a life form, then do you condone taking a life? I actually just had the conversation at dinner time about this. So obviously, as a Catholic, I'm going to say don't kill anyone. But from a logical perspective, you also have to stop and think about the implications of your actions. Interesting. I did not know common sense and reason was philosophy. So, okay, in that respect, maybe I do. Oh, that's funny, Tiki. I actually never wear shorts unless if I'm going swimming. That's actually the only pair of shorts that I own are my swim shorts. Mainly just because back when I was a teenager, I didn't really like showing my legs, but it also got to the point where, like, say I was swinging, my legs would get stuck to the swing, or like the crook of my leg would get caught in the swing, and I just didn't like the sensation. I didn't like all of the comparison between the guys and the girls, where the girls would say, look at all that gross leg hair in you guys, and I'd be like, So that ended up with me just saying, I'm just going to wear pants all the time because I'm just tired of all these shorts. And then it got to the point where even after I was okay with showing my legs, I just still got so used to wearing pants that I just didn't bother buying another pair of shorts. Are they hearing my stream, or are they just talking about politics because they feel like it? But yeah, one of the reasons why I like wearing pants over shorts is also for a practical reason. Like, I could say, well, if I wear pants in the wintertime, that keeps me warmer. If I wear pants in the summertime, it protects more from mosquito bites and sunburn. And hypothetically, let's say that I was ashamed of my leg hair. I could hypothetically just make it a complete mystery whether I shave my legs or not. Because there are guys on the swim team that have to shave their legs because when you're on a swim team, the more hair you have, the more resistance you have to the water. So that's why not only do guys in swim teams shave their legs, but they also have to shave their armpits and their arms and their chests and all of that. Whereas if you're like me and you cover yourself adequately, you can just be like, maybe I do, maybe I don't. You guys can be left guessing. So you and I are totally opposites there, Tiki. What are summers like in Japan? Like, do you guys get snow, or is it like perpetually summertime over there? Robotic wasps? Oh, that's funny. Yeah, have a good day. Have a good day, Zoe. Hope you learned a couple of things about me today. Thanks for joining by for as much as you could. I'm afraid I don't get the reference, Jevil. Who exactly is? Oh, you mean Kazuichi Soda? Is that what you meant? Robotic wasps. Wait a minute. He was the ultimate mechanic. Does that mean he could build robotic wasps? Yeah, Tiki is from Japan. So if you ever want to know about Japanese culture, you should talk to her sometime. Oh, so you've gotten